All right, good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order this regular business meeting of the Stephenville City Council and welcome everyone here on Tuesday, June the 6th, 2017, to the meeting. Before we say the pledge tonight, I just wanted to say something about today, and hopefully it'll bring a sense of purpose, even more so than normal, to what this day means to our nation. June 6th, is D-Day. It's a time to remember and to celebrate the freedom that we have, as over 10,000 men lost their lives that day on the beaches of Normandy. There are ways to describe the greatest generation, those that lived through World War II. But the brave men that served and gave their lives on those beaches in Europe should be reassurance to us in these times that we live in the greatest country in the world, that is founded on the principles that are God-given. And it is with that, I would ask us to please rise and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. All right, thank you. You can take your seats. And at this time, I'd like to call Pastor Ward Hayes from Valley Grove Baptist Church here tonight. Thank you, Pastor Hayes, for being here and just for our invitation this evening.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Council members, honored guests, we certainly do well to remember today and to give thanks for those that fought and died for the very freedom that we hold dear and we celebrate in this. So let us give thanks together. Gracious God, we do pause and give thanks because we know that you are the true giver of true freedom. It is you that is the giver of all good gifts. And fathers, we come together tonight. This council comes, Father, in regular business meeting to do the business of this community. We pray that you give them wisdom and discernment. We pray, Father, that as matters are discussed, we have listening ears to hear. But, Father, we also have understanding as to the best decisions to make. Father, we realize in giving thanks, Father, that showing you gratitude is a way of giving you praise. We certainly want to do that well today and every day. And Father, as we exercise the good gifts you bestowed upon us, Father, may we do so ever mindful of you and our fellow man. And Father, in doing so, of honoring you and each other, Father, we do well with the gifts you give us. All these things we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, we've got a couple of proclamations that I want to read at this time. It is with great pleasure to provide a proclamation for Girl Scout Gold Award Day in Stephenville, Texas. Now let me read here. Whereas Girl Scouts of Central Texas is the preeminent leadership development organization for girls, Girl Scouts offer every girl a chance to practice a lifetime of leadership, adventure, and success. Girl Scouts of Central Texas spans 46 counties in Central Texas with more than 17,000 girls and 12,000 adult volunteers experiencing new adventures every single day and making friendships that will last a lifetime. And whereas in 1916, before women in the U.S. even had the right to vote, the beloved founder of Girl Scouts, Juliet Gordon Lowe, recognized the importance of community service and had the vision to honor girls who went above and beyond to serve the needs of others and promote them to the highest level of Girl Scouting achievement. Then it was called the Golden Eaglet. Today it is called Gold Award. And though the name has changed, the character of the girl earning it remains remarkable. And whereas the Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest award a Girl Scout can earn by using her values and skills, each girl chooses a community issue that she cares about and creates a plan for the sustainable project, one that lasts after the girl's involvement ends. Once achieved, her project shows colleagues, employers, and her community that she is changing the world. As a Gold Award recipient, these girls are part of an elite group of women. The best and brightest girls are undertaking projects that improve their communities and the world. Now therefore, I, Kenny Weldon, Mayor of the City of Stephenville, do hereby proclaim June 10th as Girl Scout Gold Award Day and encourage all citizens to support this organization and its mission of building girls of courage and confidence. So it's also with great pleasure not only to have that day, but to follow with this proclamation of congratulations to Kelsey Scott. And we've got her parents here this evening. Really appreciate y'all being able to be here. Whereas the conferring of the Gold Award is the highest achievement that can be bestowed upon a Girl Scout, and whereas the prestigious award challenges the Girl Scout to change the world by identifying a community issue, whereas Kelsey Scott chose as her Gold Award project a series of educational videos that will raise awareness of epilepsy, and whereas the Gold Award will be conferred upon Kelsey Scott at a ceremony held this Saturday, June 10th, in the Texas State Capitol on the House Chamber floor, and whereas Kelsey Scott has enriched Troop 4136 and many other Girl Scouts by carrying out her duties as a Girl Scout in the most dedicated and conscientious manner, now therefore be it resolved that I, Kenny Weldon, Mayor, on behalf of the Stephenville City Council, do hereby extend our congratulations to Kelsey Scott upon earning the Girl Scout Gold Award and commend her on the hard work which she displayed in reaching this goal. Let's give Kelsey a round of applause. Let me ask Kelly Salt and Kelsey's parents, Goldie and Brandon, to come here to the front just real quick, and we'll get a little picture. Now, I got to tell you something. Kelsey's not here tonight, and it is very telling about how this girl is going to make, got a great future ahead of her. She's actually in class this evening, bettering herself. So let me come down here and give you all these. Come on over here if you want to. So just come right here, and we'll let her get over here. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you all. Now, Robin, thank you for being here too. All right. There you go. Let's go. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Robin Wheeler, who's here tonight also, so thank you, Robin. Okay, speaking of women making a difference in the community and the world, we now have a report from the Sundown on the Square Committee. Marion Cole and Meta Collier.
How do you tie those together?
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for letting us be here today. I'm Meta Collier, and
I'm Marion Cole, and Patricia Weldon is not here. She's traveling, so she's part of our organizers of our group, the trio.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're here tonight to officially kick off the Sundown on the Square for this year. It's going to be held October the 14th from 5 to 9 down around on the downtown square around the courthouse. Each of you should have has received a packet which contains our brochure, and on the inside, and this is the brochure we've developed for this year. This year's the money raised of this benefits the Stephenville Historical House Museum. This year, we are also doing Sundown on the Square in conjunction with Tarleton's Centennial Celebration. So in honor of that, the money raised this year for Sundown on the Square will go toward the renovation of the John Tarleton House on the museum grounds. Okay, so-
So, we want to invite all of you all to be there on the 14th, but on June 27th, we're going to have a sip and see, and we want to invite each one of you all to come to the museum from 4:45 to 6:45. And we want you all to see the renovations that are taking place. This is our third year to do Sundown on the Square. We're redoing the schoolhouse with money from the first year. Last year's money is going toward pavement over by the Oxford House, and then this year, like Marion said, it will be the John Tarleton Ranch House. So come see what needs to be done, what is being done. There's a lot of activity going on. We're real excited about it and excited about this year, and we hope all of you all will be able to join us.
Well, and we brought some, what we're gonna be handing out. Last year, we had over 125 event sponsors for Sundown on the Square. It's wonderful. The response of this community is incredible. So this year, there's several levels, okay? There are several levels of sponsorship. But this year, everybody, donating $100 is gonna receive a bag, a Sundown on the Square bag, a book, a Jerry Flemons book, and if you all are familiar with Jerry Flemons, Plowboys, Cowboys, and what's Slanted Pigs.
It's a real cute book.
And we also have some special notepads, Sundown on the Square notepads.
Oh, these are great too. We're real excited about our.
No, the little
Oh, the
notepad,
notepad.
yeah.
Sorry.
The notepad.
Okay.
Okay.
You didn't see that. Here.
Then, and everybody who donates $100 or more gets those, at least those three things. The other levels include note cards designed by Miller Wells, which is the John Tarleton House. And then another level is going to receive the Tarleton Traditions book. There's also going to be publicity. Your business will get publicity on our website and on our Facebook page, a certificate of participation. And then this year's wine tasting is going to be sponsored by Go Texan, which is a part of the Texas Agricultural Department. And that you'll receive, for a certain level, you'll receive some Texas wines. So we're excited about this year. A special event that is not on the brochure because we weren't sure it was going to happen is the Tarleton Historical display that's put on by, it's going to be in the courthouse atrium, and it's going to be the whole week before the event. So it'll start on the Monday before, and Glenda Stone is doing this. So anyway, we're excited, and it's going to be fun, and we want you all to come out and have a good evening, and good fun time that evening, and thank you again for having us.
Thank y'all very much.
We've got other members of our committee here. And then Kim Cummings, our committee, we've gotten so busy, but our committee has grown.
That's good. That's
It's
great.
very good.
And anybody that wants to volunteer to help can do so, or donate, either one. But thank y'all very much. In the third year, it's growing, and it's a great community event, family oriented, and down in the square, and it's really great to have that in the fall. All right, the next item on the agenda is a citizens' general discussion and budget requests, and I'm gonna look at general discussion first to see if anyone has just a general discussion item they'd like to come forward and address the council with. Okay, seeing none, then I'll ask if anyone has any budget requests that they would like to bring forward at this time. Okay. All right, Sherry. Yeah, I've got one input here from Sherry Knight. So Sherry, if you want to come to the podium, please, and just introduce yourself and who you're representing. And
So y'all get the double whammy here.
yeah.
I'm Sherry Knight, and like a bad penny, I keep showing up. But I'm president of the Stephenville Historical House Museum, and thank you for allowing me to speak to the council, Mayor Weldon and council members. I am wearing our Camp Pioneer shirt. We are in the middle of Camp Pioneer this week, and we have 44 youngsters who have come on campus. We have maxed out this year, and we're very excited. The kids are having a great time. They've learned how to make butter, and they know what goober peas are now. And so I think they're having a really good time there. And I wanted to share with you, before I get into the budget request, just a quick anecdote, because I was standing outside the chapel this afternoon when parents came to, and grandparents came to pick up their kiddos. And I like to be there to just to visit and talk with folks. And this gentleman was standing there kind of by himself, and I went over and started talking with him and everything, and his granddaughter's in the camp, and he said to me, you know, you have something here in Stephenville that we don't have in Granbury, and I just want you to know what a good feeling it is to come and see a community that comes together, that cherishes their history, and goes forward in making sure that their children know about history as well. Congratulations on that. And I went, wow. I was so glad that I was standing there and I listened to that, because the 18 members of the board of directors at the Stephenville Museum work very hard. We don't always get the feedback that we'd love to have, but that was one feedback that I'm going to share with my board next week when we have our meeting there. And we do feel like that we bring something to Stephenville, something that is precious, something that can't be measured, and something that we're going to continue to do. We have visitors from all over the state, all over the nation, and even the visitors from outside of the United States. And thousands of visitors, not just a few. And we continue to try to offer to them a window into the past. You should have received in your packet a letter from Diane Wilson. She is chair of the Oxford House Historical Preservation Committee. She couldn't be here this evening because Diane is in Alaska on a cruise. But I told her that I'd be happy to come down and speak for her. What we are proposing is to have a partnership with the city coming up in 2018. We have the funds, thanks to Sundown on the Square, for us to be able to prep our parking lot and our sidewalks. And we would like for the city to consider and hopefully to fund and back Shepherd Street and getting it prepared as well. The plan that we have in place that we visited with City Administrator Barnes and Jeremy, sitting back here hiding, Jeremy, is that we would like for all of this to come together so that in the spring of 2018 that perhaps service organizations and students from Tarleton, when they do their service to the community, that we can use that time in order to brick Shepherd Street and also the parking lot for the Oxford House. The Shepherd Street was paved at one time. If you go down there, you can see bits and pieces of where it had been paved, and bits and pieces of where it's no longer paved. And that street is used a whole lot more than it used to be. It used to be the only way to get to those storage sheds, but now it's used by citizens that are going down to the Bosque River to drive up and park so they can get down there. We do use it as at the museum, especially when we do our potato soup supper. So if you've come for potato soup supper, you have bounced along Shepherd Street to get around to where you could pick up your soup. But we want this partnership, and we need your help. We really do, so that this can take place. And I think it will enhance the value of the Oxford House, And also, I can't tell you how many people have commented about how wonderful the Oxford House looks now that we have been able to paint the house. And with the parking lot and everything, I think that will bode well, especially in the future, for us to be able to ask citizens to help us as we move along to get that house ready so that the public can come and visit and go inside and see that we have persevered and we intend for this project to go to fruition. So I wanted to speak to that, and I also wanted to offer to allow you to ask any questions you might have on this budget request that we are making of you for this coming year. So I'm here if you have any
for
questions.
Sherry?
Well, I know that Kenny has had some of your students working on those bricks for quite some time, so I applaud Kenny for that. We also, just to show that people from other than our area visit, we had a couple this morning from South Carolina visit while we had the camp going. And last year, I forget but it was over 7,000 visitors, and that's the ones that signed in. They don't always sign in.
Yeah, we have a lot. I tell you what, it is a mecca for photographers. Daily, we have photographers daily down there. They rarely sign in, and also we have a lot of visitors who come who just want to walk the grounds, because it is a place for people to come and visit, and they feel like we spend a lot of time making sure that the grounds really look good, and we want it to be now and in the future a place that people want to come and enjoy there. So
I think there's a lot more traffic now because of the trail too.
yes,
Museum
absolutely,
grounds.
there. So.
Other questions for Sherry?
I have one.
Yep.
Sherry, so have y'all talked to an engineer of any kind about, you want to use the reclaimed bricks, I get it. Have you talked to anybody about the difficulties, the problems with trying to do that? I mean, have y'all discussed that at all?
Yes, we have spent a lot of time, especially when we moved the Oxford House. We had an engineer, Mr. Beverly, who came in and spent some time blocking off and drawing off. And I believe Mr. Barnes and Jeremy both have some of the plans that, if y'all want to take a look at them, of the parking lot and et cetera. What we want to see happen is that the perimeter needs to be set up, and so that when the bricks are laid, that part is done. And I think y'all might want to have some more discussions with Jeremy on that. But we do believe that the bricks that are out at the airport,
Municipal Service Center.
okay, that are sufficient, and that the city has access, I believe, to sand that might be able to be used for what will need to be done for the bricks so that they're in place there. But we received a bid for both back in, I think it was 2012, so it's been a while. We tried to add 25%, thinking that might be enough to give us an idea of how much it's going to be. We've asked Mr. Mills to give us an updated version, but we're pretty small fry for some of the projects that he has going right now. But we do have the money for the museum to be able to pay for the prepping, the setup, the concrete work, the sidewalks, for the parking lot for the Oxford House. But we just don't have the money to do both the Oxford House parking lot and Shepherd Street. And that's where we're hoping that y'all will come in and be generous and help us to get that so that they're both done at the same time. And I think that's very important that they both get done at the same time so that there's continuity in what gets done there for it.
Okay, any other questions?
One follow-up,
Yep.
timeframe.
We're hoping, if y'all put this in your budget, that we'll be able to get all the prep work done so that when we get to the week in which Tarleton gives back to the community, that we'll be able to use students from Tarleton. But we are also going to challenge some of the service organizations to adopt 10 feet or 15 feet or 20 feet of either the parking lot or the street. And so that the community itself will have ownership and what goes on there and feel a sense of accomplishment so that they gave back to the community. And we think this is something that will really bode well. You know, the community has come together for the museum so many times, and we just think that they will this time as well for us. With y'all's support. We need your support, and we just can't do it without it.
Did I miss the amount of dollars you're asking for?
Okay, I've not given you a set amount on that. It will take about $30,000 to set up the parking lot for the Oxford House. So what you're looking at is a 1 block of Shepherd Street, for sure, up into, I don't know if you can visualize, there's telephone poles or electric poles, I don't know what they are, at the corner on either side, just past the storage units and just past where the Oxford House. From that pole down toward your Bosque River walk, that is area that I think that y'all have, at once upon a time, had planned put a parking lot in there, but that's a separate issue at this time. But there's a lot of people who park in that area there. So, you know, I can't tell you how much the prep work would be, because some of it has to depend on whether you get outside people coming in or whether or not you're going to be able to do some of it with your own street people.
And so I guess Jeremy and Nick, you have enough information in the budget process, you can bring an amount to us.
Okay. Other questions for Sherry?
I have a question, and it's probably more for Mr. Barnes than for Sherry. The Shepherd Street, is it still a dedicated right-of-way that belongs to the city, or is it part of the museum complex?
No, sir, I believe it's still a right-of-way.
Okay, and it has access to those storage buildings that are there.
And there's an office just past the storage buildings also.
Okay.
That's a part of the storage building.
Right.
It is the office for the storage buildings.
Okay.
There. That is a consideration as far as how you design the street there, the curbing, et cetera.
Mhm.
But we did talk with Mr. Barnes and with Jeremy about possibilities on that and how that would work, so that they would feel like that they're a part of this.
Sure.
And I'm so sorry, because I was writing and I might have missed what you said, but are you talking about on Shepherd Street being brick also?
Yes.
Okay.
We're looking at both the parking lot, the center part, you know, your perimeter, you need to have your brick, your concrete, so that it is set up. But both for Shepherd Street and for the parking lot would be brick. It's one of the things that we think would really lend an ambiance to the area and for people who are coming in. We do have a lot of folks who say to us how wonderful the Oxford House is looking now. We think it'll be 10 times better if we're able to have both the street and the parking lot. I mean, sure, y'all could pave that street and go, but we really would like for it to be a part of the historical park there, and so that that's blended in together. So that's the reason we're coming to you and asking that it be a part of the budget for next year. So, but
Any other questions? Okay, Sherry, thank you very much for your presentation and for your passion for what you do, and the board as well. This is a fantastic project, and it's something that will change East Washington forever, and it could serve as an anchor point for the entire revitalization of that area. So.
and we really look forward to we think East Washington is the place to be.
That's right. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sherry, apparently from your comments, you were not invited on the Alaskan cruise. Is that accurate?
You have to rub it in.
Well, I just want to make sure I understood that correctly.
Some of us had to be here to run camp.
Yeah.
That is so true. Some of us had to be here to run camp.
Someone has to mind the store.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, any other requests budget requests at this time? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to, we've got a series of three committee reports to go through this evening. We'll begin with the Public Works Committee report and Chairman Alan Nix.
Thank you, Mayor. On May 23, the Public Works Committee met, and the majority of the council was present for that, I believe, at the same time. The first item on our agenda was the easement acquisition for the East Side Sewer Project. This is a project, the project itself is something that we have been looking at and discussing for some time. The contract for the easement acquisition services is a part of the contract that, if we decide to move forward with the project, will be a part that we will need assistance with in getting those easements identified and ready for purchase, and then ready to build the East Side project on. We have a proposal before you from Public Management, Inc. I think you have an amended copy of that was left at your places this evening. The one in the agenda had a couple of minor alterations, and the one that is in front of you is the amended one. It, I believe, addresses the concerns that Mr. Thomas had with some of the wording in the original contract. It also addresses the concern that Mr. Pendleton had, which would ensure the use of local resources as much as possible in the procurement of those easements. After discussion and after the consideration of the committee, it was a unanimous recommendation of the committee that we recommend to the council that we enter into the contract for the easement acquisition services with Public Management Incorporated. And I would make the motion that we authorize staff to execute this contract, recognizing that they will not perform any work until we determine that we're ready to begin that work and authorize them to do that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Nix and seconded by Mr. McClinton to consider approval of the East Side Sewer right-of-way acquisition agreement as presented. Any discussion? Okay, if not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries, unanimous vote. Mr. Nix?
Our second item on the agenda that evening was a discussion about the Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG grant for water line improvements on Oak and Elm Street. And it's a good news report that we received from staff. We estimated the cost of that project and based our request to the state for grant money that would accomplish what we thought we needed to do. The bids came back actually in a more advantageous way for the city, and it was discussed that evening that we wanted to authorize staff to go ahead and move forward with doing the work that we had outlined, and then go ahead and stay while remaining within the existing budget for the grant amount and for the money that we have already set aside to do that and budgeted for, to go ahead and extend that project as far as would be allowed by that existing budget. There was no action taken that night. This was an informational item. There's no action necessary tonight, but it was something that staff felt like was relevant, and I believe they did a good job in identifying an area and then being able to get good bids that they can do that area and then some additional. That was the end of our meeting that night, Mayor, and that's the end of my report for the committee meeting.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Nixon, the work of the Public Works Committee and the discussion among the council on the item. Next, we've got the Planning and Development Committee report, and Mr. Jerry Warren.
We met, the committee did on May 23rd. We discussed dangerous building abatement ordinance and the mobile food vending ordinance. Committee recommended that city attorney and the staff get together and work on this, rewrite it, and especially on the mobile food vendors, less restrictive than they were, and either Jeremy or Alan, if you'll give us an update on what's going on it, we'll
Yes, sir. We're in the process of beginning the rewrite on this. We're circulating a modified version in-house. Once we feel that that's ready for prime time, we're gonna get a couple of the food vendors to come in and go over it with us, give us some input, and we're gonna take their suggestions, and hopefully we'll have it back for the committee's recommendation in probably a month or so.
Okay, thanks. There's no action we need to take on this. So that's the end of it.
Okay, well, thank you, Jerry, and a lot of great discussion that evening, and a lot of good work there to get input from the community on that, and so thank you for your work there. All right, next we'll move to the Nominations Committee report, and Mr. Red Harrison.
Nominations Committee also met on May 23rd. That consisted of Jerry Warren, Carla Trussell, and myself. We dealt with 3 items. One was going to be appointing to the Board of Adjustments. The other was going to be an appointment to the senior citizens. And we also dealt with another item that had to do with restricting our ECAD representative to residing within the confines of city limits. On item A, as you see in your agenda, it was unanimous that by the committee that we appoint Kerry Wallace to the Board of Adjustments and Brandon Huckabee as an alternate. I'd like to make a motion to reflect such.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Harrison, and is it second from
Jerry.
Mr. Warren? Okay. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote on appointing Kerry Wallace as a member of the Board of Adjustments and Brandon Huckabee as alternate. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries, unanimous vote.
Rhett, will that bring that up to full staff then on that
It will.
BOA?
Yeah.
Good.
What's that? On?
We can have one more alternate.
Now, one more alternate, but that's a full board plus one alternate.
That's correct.
Good.
That's the way I understand it.
Thank you.
So,
Just another question on that. So, does the quorum remain at 4, even though, so the quorum's
Mhm.
at 4?
That's correct, isn't it, Alan? Yeah,
Yes, sir, that's correct.
okay. All right, Brett?
Item B, I'd like to make the motion to appoint Jan Smith to the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. That's the recommendation unanimously by the Nominations Committee.
I second.
All right, motion by Mr. Harrison, seconded by Ms. Trussell, to appoint Jan Smith to the Senior Citizen Advisory Board. Any discussion? Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries, unanimous vote.
The third item, we had a little bit more discussion on, and we have an interesting situation here, and that is that Andrew Hansen is our representative, and he is also here tonight. If it is okay, Mayor, I would like to see if Mr. Hansen would like to address us.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Yep.
This is my 3rd year representing the city. I did move in August out to the country, that country living. Did renew back in December at my new address, but I just kind of wanted to give an update of what's been going on these last 3 years. Kind of the point of this position is to make sure the district is in budget, set the budget, make sure the district meets all the state mandated requirements, the methods and procedures, some other items for cities or districts less than 100,000 or 120,000. The board appoints ARB, the head of the ARB board, and they also appoint ARB members, conflicts of interest notwithstanding. But I feel like I've been representing the city well. A perfect example of that is whenever we sold the old building over there on Harbin and moved into the old ag Texas building, I guess over there by Golden Corral. The net proceeds of that were were going to be given back to the taxing entities. Well, it was not the wishes of all the board to give all that money back, and I was a big proponent to give back a majority of those funds to the entities, and I believe the city got a little over $30,000, the county got around $100,000, and the school district got $90,000. So that's it. And then if y'all have any questions about my time spent on there, I'd love to answer them.
Any questions?
What's your attendance been?
3 years, I think I've missed maybe one or two, and it's been purely business meetings that overlapped. We meet second Tuesday every month, 8 o'clock in the morning.
I've never been to one of the meetings, I'll tell you that, and maybe I should.
Well, I'll tell you, Alan, in 3 years, we've only had one person come.
It's probably not on many people's bucket list, just to say the least.
Yeah, that's right.
Serving on the board, you've been there long enough to get a feel for what's going on and how and why. Has not residing in the city been detrimental to your service or your representation of the city in that position on the board?
Oh, not at all. And I look at it as not just representing the city's best interest, but the taxpayers' best interest, as well as the other entity's best interest. I mean, we're all pulled in there together. But no, I mean, living out in the country hasn't changed any mindset or anything like that.
Well, it's my opinion that all the taxpayers, whether they reside inside the city limits or not, need good representation.
Yeah.
And as long as that representation is there, a person's residence may be secondary behind their dedication and their willingness to serve and to be a voice for those people in that position.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Mayor, I had a question for Mr. Thomas. Randy, what do we determine as far as what the tax code says as far as if we have a accident, or I guess if we lose our voting member as far as appointing a new one, is that the board's decision at that point, or do we still have a?
Cities.
I thought there was deadlines when they're offset and look at it very closely.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's up to us.
So,
Now, I hadn't looked at that, maybe ever, don't know if it is.
Well, it's my understanding that each taxing entity sets the rules and standards for how they appoint their member.
That's correct.
And the board elects the chair.
The chairman?
Right.
Correct. And the chair is Dana Proctor. She represents all the small schools in the appraisal district.
So there's a city representative, a county representative,
Yes, ma'am.
a school board representative,
City of Stephenville School Board, yes.
school board, and then
Dublin
Dublin?
represents City of Dublin and Dublin ISD.
Okay.
And then Dana represent, Lingoville, DeLeon, Three-Way. I mean, there's Bluffdale.
So there's 5 members.
Correct.
Okay.
Did you move back up there on Old Sea Barker?
Yes, sir. Moved on to family land, yeah.
When that sold, you were a little freckle-faced kid.
I was. Still a little freckle-faced kid.
My wife was taking bids. Your dad was in Hawaii. And she was taking bids.
Well, my dad wasn't there. It was my uncle. My uncle represented him, 1998. I remember.
Wow.
I was doing the title work on it, but we was running around with the contracts.
Yeah.
And he was bidding, I think he was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
He just kept bidding. I mean, he was bound determined.
Well, we enjoy it out there. I'm happy to be out there and raise my kids in the country.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
If Dana Proctor represents all of the smaller school districts, you name several, it's obvious she can't reside in all of those.
That's right.
But she does reside in Langeville School District. She
Yeah.
does reside.
She does reside in one of them.
One
One
of
of
them.
one of the 20 or however many.
Yeah.
13.
13. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Who is our county representative?
That's Jennifer Carey.
Jennifer Carey?
And I believe she's required
To live
be
in the county?
Yeah, to be the representative.
Required because of the position?
Yes. As the tax assessor.
Okay,
It
Carl,
was,
you had a
I
question?
think it was unanimous from the, committee that we have somebody from Stephenville represent us, but based on his comments, maybe we should table it, and discuss it further. Would that be appropriate?
Here-
So-
If you don't mind, here's what I do, and we had the same discussion that night. We just don't have a whole lot of people that are lined up to represent us on these boards and so forth. And it appears that Mr. Hanson has done a decent job representing us. I personally am indifferent, but I see the logic behind wanting someone within the confines of the city limits. But having said what I just said, I would like to explore the option of maybe voting on this to restrict within the city limits, but grandfather him in until,
He is already.
but that's just till
For
his
his
term.
term, that's
Right.
right.
So the next time, though, if we'd like to consider him, I'd like to be able to do so when his term is up.
You can't do that without leaving it like it is.
Fair enough?
And when does your term expire?
A year and a half. I just renewed this last December.
December.
Yeah. So,
So can we look at this when his term's about to expire?
Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I could make a suggestion that, Councilwoman Trussell's, motion, I guess, you
I
made a
don't
motion.
know, I didn't make a
Oh,
motion. Do
okay.
you want me to make a
You're
motion?
Well,
Motion. What's that
that's up to
now?
you, but whoever wants to make a motion to table this, perhaps make the motion that it remain tabled until Mr. Hanson no longer wants to serve and be addressed at that point.
So moved.
Second.
It's okay.
I'll make the motion that we postpone the, adopting the ordinance creating the requirement that the appraisal district member must serve within the Stephenville city limits until December of 2019, Andrew?
18.
18? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we already had.
We already had a
Well, I
motion
think
in a second.
Alan made the motion though, and I
No,
just
he-
suggested.
Somebody
No,
over
I-
there made a
Well, I
motion.
haven't
He made a
recognized anybody to make a motion.
I apologize. I heard Alan make a motion, make a statement to Brett, so I'll make that motion, and so that's
Can
where I.
can you pass an ordinance so that it's effective a year and a half from now?
Why don't we make it effective, we're just motion to postpone, my vote was to postpone.
Why don't you just table it? and
I'll
put it
I'll
in
write
the- Just
a
table
point of
it.
parliamentary inquiry, I guess, at this point.
So it sounds like the council wants to,
I think that's what you just did.
to ponder
I
this.
think so.
So table would be appropriate, so I will,
Now, you'll entertain a
let's just
motion.
go back to Carla,
Carla?
did you have
Okay,
a,
I motion,
okay?
I make a motion that we, table the, Erath County Appraisal District Board of Directors recommendation for the time being. Is that,
Yes, ma'am, that's.
okay.
I'll second.
All right, okay, so a motion is a table from, Ms. Trussell and seconded by Mr. Harrison. So proceed to vote. All those in
Do we need Alan to second that? I'm just.
We just
I'm
need his
sorry.
vote. We don't need his second.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that's tabled.
Thank you for coming and talking
Yeah,
with us.
thank y'all, and I wanna say, cause I don't think I'll be here again, thank you, Cindy. Been good for the city. I think everybody here appreciates you very much, and I know Stacy will be great too. So just wanna say that, I don't know when I'll get another chance to come by here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, well, thank you, for that, committee report, and I just wanna echo one of the things that Rhett said, kind of in passing, but it's a really important point that you made. We need citizen participation in these boards, and we, as a group, I think, need to find ways to help, get word out and participation. It was very discouraging, just speaking for myself, to see the lack of, participation, and, I mean, we can't, require people to submit an application, but it's a great opportunity, and I'd just like to encourage citizens to sincerely consider that in the future. And for those of you that are serving on committees, thank you for that and your willingness to do so, the boards and commissions currently. All right, we'll move now to the monthly budget report, and Ms. Monica Harris. Monica?
council. The reports that are in the packet are for our financial statements ending April 30th, 2017. These do not include the budget adjustments that you approved in May. Those will show up in the May report. So for property taxes, we received $7,500 in property taxes in the month of April, resulting in $91,000 increase over our funds collected through April 30th of last year. Erath County usually collects 97% of our property taxes by April 30th, and so the $5.16 million that were collected through April 30th is reflective of 96.3% of our total budget for our property taxes for this fiscal year. We received $391,000 in sales tax in April, resulting in $109,000 over our target budget through April 30th. We had budgeted $152,000 under last year's actual revenue, so receiving $55,000 less than the same period last year is actually better than what I would have expected. The 58% target budget for our operating revenue is $13 million. We received $16 million in operating revenue, resulting in a $3 million overage that is reflected in taxes, service charges, and grants. The 58% target budget for our operating expenditures is $11 million. We expended $10.3 million, resulting in $687,000 under budget. The operating revenue received last year was $15.8 million as compared to the current year's $15.96 million, resulting in $163,000 increase due to our property taxes and our intergovernmental grants. The operating expenditures last year were $9.6 million as compared to the current year's $10.3 million, resulting in $727,000 increase. In the general fund, $228,000 increase was caused by the prior year personnel vacancies and additions to personnel this year. In the utility fund, the $300,000 increase was for the Tarleton Methodist Branch Sewer Study, the East Side Sewer Project, and we had higher maintenance costs. In the special revenue fund, the $198,000 increase was due to the creation of CETA and the purchase of the signalized crosswalk and electronic ticket routers. We've updated the new programs list. If you'll see, most of them are either completed or very near completion, except for the personnel, which won't be completed till the end of the year. And we have actually spent $298,366 of our $750,000 budgeted for our street improvements as of April 30th. Is there any question?
Any questions for Monica?
Yes, I do.
All right.
You anticipate, I know this is our investment, interest on investments is $38,000. Do you have any idea you can't project the future on the market, but the market going, we've had 10% increase in the market since November. We've seen that kind of increase in our investments, anything like that. I know the way the state is, we have basically give our money to somebody else to use for free here. So do you actually give us some time of report on what the interest rate of each of those bonds, where we have money sitting there drawing interest?
For the bonds or for the interest that we have?
Interest on investments.
On the interest, okay. Actually, there's a quarterly report that you've gotten that, right? Has that been sent out?
For which month? Sure, that'd be fine. It'd be nice to see what's happened since the market changed, since we elected.
Well, we do a quarterly investment report, and I know I just approved off on one not too long ago, so you should be getting it. And if that's something that you want me to present to the council each quarter, I can do that as well.
If you just report on it next time, next time you make your report, it'd be good.
Okay.
Just to see what's happening, because annualize that $37,000 bucks with $65,000, I'll be interested to see if it's really maybe $100,000 or $120,000.
Okay.
And what I'd like to see is, we have X number of dollars in this account, we're drawing at a rate of whatever, just kind of see what that.
Yeah, and that's what the investment report has. It breaks it down between our cash demand accounts and then all the different investments that we have with TexPool, Techstar, and then we purchase the individual CDs from different banks, and they all have the weighted average interest and that kind of things in it.
When I went to talk to someone at TML a couple years ago, they talked about allowing us to become a little more free to invest in higher gain return type investments. If you look into some of that, also talk to us about that next time as well. What the chances of us getting into something where you actually will draw a return that makes a difference.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Any other questions for Monica? All right, well, thank you very much. much for that report. And the detail in there, that's a lot of work that goes into that, and, it's very helpful to be able to track this through the years, so thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, with the, election in May and, the requirement for the council committee assignments to be, approved. Last month, I asked the council to give me their input, and then I'm required to make a recommendation for committees. And, this is like trying to put a Rubik's Cube together, if anybody remembers what that's like. And so I've sent this out, to council. You've got a copy of it. This is my recommendation. What I did to try to, simplify this a little bit was the chair that we had previously, I retained that chairperson for the committee to provide some continuity, but then I, increased the number of members on each committee, to 4 across the board. So each committee now has 4 members. We, last year, operated with a couple of committees that had 3 members, and there were times when we had, some difficulty because of scheduling and everything, having a quorum of the committee. And so, I'll just open this, to the floor for any questions, and if none, would entertain a motion for, adoption of these committee assignments.
I move we adopt committee assignments as presented. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Pendleton, seconded by Mr. McClinton to, approve the committee assignments. Any discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries, unanimous vote. And I really appreciate everybody's, willingness to serve and, the work you do with the committees. It's really important.
Kenny, I appreciate you going to the time and effort to try to satisfy all the requests, because I know they're many and they're varied, and I know it's not always easy.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate your time that you invest in doing that and helping all of us serve as best we can anyway. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, the next item on the agenda is, to consider the electing of the Mayor Pro Tem. And, that's a position that fills in, place of the mayor if the mayor's not able to attend a meeting or a function. And so I'll at this time open the floor for nominations for Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McClinton.
I would, probably nominate Mr. Allen Nix. I believe he's done an outstanding job over the last year. His stellar attendance at city meetings. I believe he's handled all of the functions and duties of the position well, so I would, nominate Mr. Allen Nix to continue for another year.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Harrison.
if Doug Savine is willing to serve, I would like to nominate Doug Savine.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Pendleton, seconded, by Mr. McClinton to close, nominations. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, nominations are now closed, and we'll, proceed to vote, we've got 2 nominees, Mr. Allen Nix and Mr. Doug Savine. And we'll proceed to vote, by show of hands. So, all those in favor of, Mr. Nix, signify by raising your hand. I see 2 votes. 3. All right, Mr. Savine, by show of hands. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so, by a vote of, 5 to 3, Mr. Savine would be the, Mayor Pro Tem. All right,
Congratulations, Doug.
so congratulations.
Don't use all that extra money in one place.
Right.
I'm taking the
All right, the next item we've got on the agenda is to consider appointing a representative to the North Central Texas Council of Governments. And, that current member is Mr. Pendleton. Previously, I'd, open the floor for anyone that's interested in serving as that representative for the coming year.
I'll nominate Carla Trussell.
How often does it meet?
I don't know, I didn't go to any meetings this
That's-
year, and I'm ashamed to say that, I really am, because I didn't know where to get information to go, I mean, so maybe you do a better job of.
And where does it meet?
Arlington, by Six Flags, correct?
They meet at least once annually. The meeting was this week in Grand Prairie, and in that meeting, there's a board that's elected for the COG that members go and vote at that. But there's also opportunities to, as the representative, to get involved with the COG and see what is going on up there. And their offices are in Arlington, like Brady said.
So we're not getting back from them?
Do what?
You mean, go see what we're not getting back from
No,
them?
we're not getting back from it. And I'll give you an example of that. For example, in May of this year, a letter went out to mayors and judges. I just got it in the mail, but 2017, 2018 transportation policy body of the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Transportation Council. This is not something this member would go to, but it's something that, as the voting member, you could attend and say, I'm from Stephenville and I'm the representative. They met on April 13th to roll out the proposed state transportation version of community development block grants for transportation. And there is some 200 and, I've got my notes here, $130 million of transportation dollars that are being discussed at this meeting. And this meeting doesn't decide that, but it lays out the schedule, and it would allow a council member to go out there and be aware that this was going on, so they could come back and say, hey, what are we doing to submit a project for surface transportation block grant program, for example. And that's the only way we're gonna get access to part of that $130 million is by being aware of things like that. Now, that's not to say that that's what this position does, is just go to all these meetings. No, it's something you could work with Alan to find out when's there something that might be of interest to Stephenville and go up there. And then once a year is when the annual meeting is, and that would be the only maybe required.
It is a voting member.
It's as a voting member, right?
But do we have somebody else that wants to volunteer?
Does anybody want to volunteer if you've heard all that? May have scared everybody off.
I don't mind doing it again, I don't know. Maybe you better tell me. I never got an email or a notice in the mail that said, hey, go here, I mean, maybe I'd look hard enough to look. I mean,
I gave
I didn't know.
$50 to pay for gas.
No, I mean, I don't give anything else for gas, but since I didn't do a good job finding information, I'm very Carla probably could, so I nominated her, so I would prefer Ms. Trussell, sir.
Okay.
Carl, are you interested in doing it?
I can do it if you would like for me to do it.
Well,
But I'd gladly let somebody else do
well,
it.
the bar's
if they
pretty
want
low
to.
right now.
I'm pretty
Pretty
sure
bad
that,
when you don't nominate your own self, you back off the committee.
That's right, that's right.
that
So
bar may be
any other
non-existent.
nominations? Okay, Carl, are you willing to serve
That
with
would be
that?
fine.
Is that
I
fine?
will try to make the
Okay.
meeting.
The
The meeting or whatever it is.
Well, there is a nice meal, so.
Yeah, there
it's
is a
not
nice
worth your
meal.
risk.
Did you do it before?
No, but I went with Boyd because that was when we were looking at there was a program, I can't remember now what it was. Oh, because of the CETA development things, and we were
Yeah.
discussing that up there. Boyd was a representative then.
All right, so let's proceed then with a vote to consider appointing
You don't
Carla
have a
Trussell.
second, do you?
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Mr. Pendleton, second by Mr. Savine, to appoint Carla Trussell as a representative of North Central Council of Governments. Any discussion? Proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries by unanimous vote. Carla, thank you very much. And I think Brady's got a continuity book somewhere. You can probably.
Yeah.
We'll move to the consent agenda now.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
A motion by Mr. Savine, second by Mr. McClinton. To approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? I'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries a unanimous vote, I'm sorry. Comments by the city administrator. Mr. Barnes.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on June 13th, we have committee meetings of finance, planning and development, and personnel. And I think we will probably also end up with a council meeting that night. Is that correct, Cindy? We've got to work out the details, but I think we're planning to do a special meeting that night, or a call meeting that night. June 27th, we have the council off-site planning meeting that will, I talked to the facilitator today. He is getting me some information, and then I'm gonna get him some information, and he will be calling each of you probably over the next couple of weeks. Said he would begin with an email to schedule a time to talk to you. June 29th is Playing on the Plaza. There'll be food and music. And the final thing I have is actually the best news. We received $2,108.58 in reimbursement from FEMA. That's a 75% reimbursement for the floods in May 22nd through June 24th of last year. It is reimbursing us. We had 2,100. We had 67 volunteers work a total of 268 hours, and that is paying for the volunteer work.
That's great.
Yeah, that's not all of it. That's just,
Well, that's not very much for what we were out for that flood.
Well,
Is they
but
Monica?
this close to the time, getting that much from FEMA is a pretty substantial thing.
That was for the volunteers, was that right?
That's
Right.
correct.
Lost River cleanup that we did, that museum
Yeah.
stuff
all
there.
the same.
That's correct.
All right.
And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, council members, Mr. Clinton?
I simply echo the theme that's come up a couple times tonight and ask that everyone ponder the enormity of the sacrifice that was made on our behalf on this day 70-odd years ago. Thank you.
Well, I wore my Purple Gov t-shirt tonight that I got at the Chamber Mixer for free. And so we have a new business that opened over the weekend. I went out and tried it. It was really good. But the exciting thing, a travel blog today on Facebook called, today said Stephenville is becoming the new Austin for foodies with the opening of the Purple Gov. So I hope VW and Cynthia have started a trend, and I want to thank them for investing in our community. So I thought that was really cool. We're the new Austin for foodies.
Okay. That's right.
Is that good?
Well, I was trying to get out of here so I could see the end of my son's baseball game, but since I'm here, I would like to thank Jesus Coronado for taking several of us out to look at the 530 acres. It was, I appreciate your effort on that. The property does have some character to it, towards the back of it. I see some potential with that, but anyway, thank you.
All right, Mr. Nix?
No, sir.
Zachary?
Yeah, I was on that tour also, and it was very thorough and great, and I think we discussed a lot of good information about it, and it was very helpful to see the property. I'd also like to thank the city employees, and particularly Alan, because at the Friday night, late Friday night, at the end of the very beginning of the long Memorial Day weekend, I had a customer come in and snag me, not in my restaurant capacity, but in my city council person capacity, with an issue they were concerned about on one of the streets. And so I emailed it to Alan, and I really didn't, it was the weekend, I didn't expect to hear anything, and I got a reply back, and they took care of it, and the customer called me to say they couldn't believe how prompt everything was, and they were really pleased. So that, I think, pleasing the citizens was really good, and I'd like to commend y'all on that. I don't know who all was involved, but thank you very much.
I just passed along the message. It was Nick's guys.
Okay, well then, thank you very much. It was very much appreciated, and they made a special point to call me and tell me that they were very, very pleased, so thank you.
something you may or may not be interested in. But, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I was shutting down for the night on my iPhone and I hit the passcode block. So I punch in my numbers and then you have to confirm. Well, I punched in to confirm and got failed. The 6th time I punched in the wrong number, and I wasn't drinking or anything. But here comes this message. This phone has been disabled. Now, you probably remember the terrorist thing out in California a couple of 3 years ago, when Apple and all said they could not retrieve what these terrorists had put on their phone. They were telling the truth. The only way I could get that phone to operate was wipe out everything that was ever put on it. So, drinking, sleepy, whatever, be careful.
Okay.
I don't think my phone has that.
Well, it sent me back to the small phone.
All right.
And back up on cloud.
Anything else? Okay. I've got 3 things I want to bring up tonight. The Open Meeting Act is a very cumbersome but necessary part of government. For those of that have never operated within the confines of government, you don't completely appreciate its purpose. But one of the things that I'm doing tonight under the purview of the Open Meeting Act is our agenda allows council members to bring up issues relative to the agenda, and there's 3 specific things that I'd like to bring to the council's attention and to request support and or continuing discussion. The first is the capital improvement plan. I do not want us as a council or as a city to be lulled to sleep that the asset management plan is a substitution for the capital improvement plan. And I'm very concerned, and I'm not casting stones here, I'm just encouraging us to keep our eye on the target. We have got to have a robust definition of our street, water, sewer, stormwater, equipment, capital cost for this city. If we don't have that, then an asset management plan isn't gonna do us any more good than a line that somebody picks out on a chart and puts a slope to it and says, this is what you may need to do in 5 years. We need to put the pedal to the metal to define these requirements for this city. And it has come to my attention, after me just kind of wading through the fog, that we have not been emphasizing that as a city because we've had this albatross of just living year to year with our budget. And the asset management plan and our strategic planning effort that we're about to undertake is going to give us more of a 3 and a 5 year view of things. But just as I was talking to Jeremy earlier, there's a $500,000 project out there. Well, that's not going to go in the budget because it doesn't fit, but it's a requirement of the city. And so our capital improvement plan has got to have these things defined. And I guess I'm a little frustrated that we haven't gotten over the hump with this, but Alan, I know with your leadership and your experience, that's one of the things that we will really encourage bringing you on board.
Yes.
You understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir, I do.
We need your leadership to get this done.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just asking the council for us to keep on that as we move forward, because our infrastructure is never gonna get fixed if we don't start thinking in 3 and 5 year chunks. And because the annual budget has proven to be the destiny of not being able to do that. That's item 1. Item 2, I would like to request a survey of the number of payday loan establishments in the city of Stephenville. And I would like to understand the economic impact that has on our community. I'd like to know if there are example ordinances to deal with payday loan services in a community. I don't bring this up as my own idea. I've been approached by citizens in the community to inquire about payday loan establishments. And so I'd just like a head count on that as far as number of payday loan establishments, and for us to maybe have some future discussion on that. The last item, on Thursday, the CETA is having their strategic planning session, and as the city council has 2 representatives on that, as ex officio, the mayor pro tem, and I'd like to ask the council tonight to support me with asking the following question of that board. I would like to ask CETA to look at the economic impact of the Ranger College referendum that has been recently posted in the paper, to see what are the pros and cons and what is the true impact of that to our community. I know that it's been discussed among the school board. There's actually been a presentation that's been made to the school board. I think that we as a council should engage with Ranger College to find out, you know, what is the plan. But what I'd like to do on Thursday is ask CETA to kind of take this for action, because it is related to economic development. It's also related to education, but it's something that I think we need to be informed more, and maybe invite Ranger College eventually here to visit with us. So I guess what I'm asking the council is it okay for me to just add that as an input in that meeting, to say, hey, we'd like for CETA to look at this as one of their items. Does anybody have any concerns with that, or have you thought about it?
I think it'd be good to have an honest discussion about it.
Okay.
What is a referendum? Is it go back to the 11-cent
Right.
tax?
Right.
I definitely think we need to address it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that we need to understand, and I think, so anyway, any other thoughts, or? Okay. All right, well, that's, and I appreciate y'all's time, and Rhett, for you staying to hear that. That's all I've got, but between now and when we will meet again will be a great parade in this great community, and I just encourage all citizens to come out and celebrate our nation's birthday on July 4th, the greatest small town parade in America. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, well, adjourn at 6:47. Thank y'all.
We didn't make 30 minutes.